Hello, wonderful people. Sean Tucker here, coach, trainer, and the man behind the mic in the brand new podcast, How Are You Really Mum? With the fresh male perspective, this is a place where we will unveil the layers and celebrate the woman behind motherhood. In How Are You Really Mum, we acknowledge the joys, the challenges, the growth, and the tears. I hope you enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the first episode of the How Are You Really Mum podcast by myself, Sean Tucker. What's the first episode all about? Well, I thought I'd start with a bit of a story. And this actually goes back to when I was just 3 years old. And it's when I developed such a deep, profound connection with my mum. How I became known that this was the case was actually through a hypnotherapy session that I did 4 years ago, where I was under hypnosis. And for anyone who's ever experienced hypnosis, they know that it's kind of like a hair strand. You're going down to really look at what are the things that are causing you any kind of emotional response or reaction. And essentially, what was coming true for me was the experience where I nearly bit off my tongue completely. So at 3 years old, I'm one of 6 children. We're born and raised in the countryside in country Victoria here in Australia. And at that time when I was 3, I'm in the middle on the bottom half. So I've got 3 older brothers, 1 younger sister and a younger brother. And it was a pretty fun day. But that next step where I decided to fall off a very metal sprung rocking horse, I had my tongue poking out, smashed me in the chin, and guess what? It left a hole in my tongue. And if you're watching the video, you can literally see the stitches line across my tongue. So why did this, help me develop such an emotional bond and strong connection with my mum? To be fair, it was the thing that made me feel safe. She was the only one who made me feel safe in that moment. Because I had a mouthful of blood. I don't actually remember the experience much at all. Because, you don't really have much recollection of what happened when you were 3. Some people do. So if we wind back to when I was just 3 years old, we lived about 30 minutes away from the nearest emergency hospital. And somehow my mum managed to call up my dad, call up the local hospital, which was more of like a doctor's clinic, and say, my son's just bit his tongue. They said, sorry, you're going to have to take him to Ballarat. And for anyone who knows Ballarat, it's in the countryside of Victoria, out in the west from Melbourne. And it was about 30 minutes drive. And so my mum called my dad very rapidly and said, you got to come home. You got to look after the other boys and my sister so I can take Sean to the emergency. And then we'll figure out what to do from there. I can't really imagine what was going on in my mum's mind at this moment, except panic and just action. And like I said, I don't really have much of a memory of what exactly happened, but I do remember sitting out alone, feeling safe. I was outside on the chair by myself. I don't know where my brothers were or my sister. My sister was only 1. But I felt safe. I felt safe because I had that really strong bond with my mum. And the whole reason I'm doing this podcast, that I help the mums that I do, is because mums, you deserve it. You really do. When anything happens, when a child cries, when your own child cries, you drop everything and you go and help that child. You go and nurture that child. I believe there shouldn't just be one Mother's Day a year. You should be celebrated every single day. Because I absolutely love my mum, And I'm sure your children love you too. But the thing is, when you drop yourself and just pick someone else up, even if you have a completely empty tank of gas, somehow you mums find it within you to just get up and do it anyway. And the whole idea of this podcast is to create a platform where we're sharing stories, where I'm asking questions that are tough to answer through your experience of being a mum. Because you're right, I'm not a mum. I can never be a mum. But I am a son. And I'm recently a father to a beautiful, beautiful little girl. She was born in February this year. And I'm so blessed because I get to watch my wife and my daughter and myself go through this journey of becoming a parent. And I get to watch my parents do the noble role of being a grandparent. And this is my why. This is why I'm doing what I do. Because I care about you as a mum, and I want to support and create a community of like-minded mums who maybe have lost themselves along the way, have lost their identity, have lost the love for themselves along the way. But if we can just share some stories, if we can give some practical tips, if we can get some professionals on, because how are you really? That question is intentionally there. How often do we just brush off, how are you? We don't really actually give it the credit that powerful question can create. Because how you are simply says so much about your being and your well-being, better than any other question you could ask. So how are you really, mum? It's all about sharing stories, creating not a narrative. There's no intention about really driving people just to share their stories to, I suppose, make you all feel as victims. No, that's not it. The idea is to empower each other, to ask the questions that often we just brush off, and to get to the truth. Why do you do what you do? Yes, there's a physiological response. When your child is crying, something inside of you activates and it says, I need to nurture and look after this child. So this podcast is not just a talk show. It's for me to interview mums from all walks of life, not just the ones that I help, but mums from all walks of life to share their journey of becoming a mother and going through the journey of motherhood. Because the life cycle for mums is certainly interesting. You go from being a girl to being a woman, to being a mum, to being possibly a grandmum. And I know not all ladies go on that journey. I understand that. But I'm speaking to those mums who are ready to embrace themselves fully again. Because you really do deserve it. All of that hard work, all of that credit that's never paid back to you. Even for the children that run away and blame you for their lives. Even the people that got away said it was too tough. The husbands and the partners or whoever. Being a mum should be celebrated. And this podcast, How Are You Really, Mum, is one step in that direction. Because it's not about dividing. The people who should listen to this podcast aren't just mums. It's for the children. It's also for the supportive husbands and the supportive partners, so that we can all come together in union, that we can all come together and share ideas, share insights. There's no need for politics. There's no need for division and separation. If we can come together, the only way that we can come together is through truth. It's through sharing true tales, true stories. So I invite you on this journey. Come with me. Come with me on this journey, because this journey is going to be fun. There will be laughs. There will be times of tears. And the biggest thing I want to do is give it to the people who need it. Give it to those children who deserve better, mums. Give it to the mums who deserve better being themselves. Because if you're better within yourself as a mum, that shows in every little reflection on your children, no matter how old they are, even if they're adults by now. It really does not matter, because the more that you love yourself as a mum, the more that's just going to shine through. And it's not just about building confidence. It's about absolute clarity. Because clarity and confidence, they're not always the same thing. It's learning to embrace who you really are, because you've gone through the hard yards. You deserve to love yourself. You deserve to be so much more than you are. And if you already think you're so far ahead, that's awesome. I'm so happy for you. But there's so many ladies, so many mums out there who just don't seem to have that level of love for themselves, because they're still craving the external validation from everyone else. But most importantly, if they can't validate themselves, if they can't give it to themselves, because it's not just about self-care, it's about really truly loving who you are as a being, regardless of your gender, regardless where you come from. It doesn't matter. So, will you join me on this journey of opening up these stories with the other mums who I'll be interviewing? I have a really great panel of interview guests I'm going to bring on. Some of them will be men, actually, because I can't wait for you to hear some of the stories that some of the men have actually told me and shared with me, that as their experience of having to become the nurturers, the single dads out there. Because once again, it's about being a better mother, not just as a mum, as a lady, as a woman, but as a man. We can all be better mothers to the world. Because being a mother goes so much more than just your gender. Being a mother to the world means you're experiencing someone else as part of yourself. And what joy that must be for you to experience another life as yourself. So let's leave it there. Can't wait to see you in the next episode. And I'll see you next time. Take care. Have a marvelous day. Bye. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us on this heartfelt journey. Just a reminder to please subscribe, tune in, and become part of our supportive community. Because mums, you're not alone, and the world really needs to know, how are you really, mum? See you next time. Bye for now.